Alrighty, let's do this. Alright, I think we're live. Let's check to make sure. Yes, we are. Here we go. All right. I'm gonna let some people get in here before we start. What's good, Igor? As you guys can see, I have the challenge account up and live. Let me fix this camera a little bit. Oh, that made it worse. Whatever, that's not the purpose today. Yo, good morning, everybody. For those of you who are in my Telegram, Igor's tripping about the wicker table. It's great. I love it. I mean, dude, I have 3 monitors, so it's a lot of space I take up. But let's start talking about some prices. FOMC minutes are in an hour. I want everyone to remember it's not a meeting, it's just minutes. So there's not going to be much information that's going to be drastic. But what I do want everyone to remember that we're going into Thanksgiving. And that being said, it's going to be a holiday, especially in the States. Markets will be dry, minimal participation. A lot of market makers stepped out over the last week with what happened at FTX. So that means thin books. Thin books can lead to some trouble. Don't oversize. Expect extreme volatility. $1 million can slip a lot of books right now. You can do a lot of damage with $1 million. $10 million, a lot more damage. So careful. Anyways, I've loaded up this account with $5,000 here. As you can see, I posted a pre-stream trade idea earlier this morning. I saw, hold on, we gotta go to contract trade. Whatever, I don't know why it's not showing, but it's in here. I posted a trade idea earlier that I saw. I've been in longs on BTC for a few days. I can't believe I didn't get stopped out. You guys all saw this trade in the Telegram. Insane. I should have gotten stopped out, but I learned my mistake. The late equal lows did get swept, and normally I do. I normally don't set stops that close to equal lows. And I'm glad that I didn't get stopped out. I ended up adding along the way, so that main position's a little larger. What I expect, what's up, Gravy? How you doing, brother? I'm gonna try to, so I have 3 screens. I'm gonna try to read the chat as well while I talk, so you guys feel free to drop charts. But for now, we're gonna talk about BTC and ETH. I don't believe in Thanksgiving pump, no. But I do believe in the pump. So the general thesis for this trade is a solid run of 19K. This whole episode here was the FTX drama. Whether it was going to happen sooner or later, it happened sooner than later. So I expect some of this liquidity to get filled in here. All this jazz. Currently, what I want to see, right? So this is, we can actually just get rid of this. This is the original trade thesis. The new one's here. I'll do it all on this chart because I already have this drawn up. But what I want to see is a hold of this region right here. To me, this is all support now. This got retested because this move is pretty drastic, free liquidity. I want to see this hold, right? If we're gonna look for short ideas and we do get invalidated, I'll probably cut it before it gets to this stop. I don't think I'll let it get to 16,000 here. What I would do is see some bad reaction, and then I would actually look to short around here. And I would continue to hold it for new lows. I'd actually TP some here in this region, and then if I see what I like, well, we're going to new lows there. If not, we're playing the long side right now, which is why I'm long. Fuck, I'm getting a call, but I'm gonna ignore it. We're playing the long side, which is why I'm long. So I really like this re-entry for the challenge account. The size is a little larger than I would recommend for most people to be doing with 5K, but I'm a little risky, so we're gonna play it for fun. I have 2 more bids that I have set. I don't think will get filled, and if they do get filled, then I'll be a little more concerned with this position. I would prefer if it kept moving without these bids getting filled. But what I expect over the next 2 days is not much movement, especially in going into Thanksgiving, unless Asia decides to throw a fucking party. But I do expect topside liquidity to get ran. Buyers who FOMO'd in here are pretty redacted, and they'll probably puke it here, which is where I started to fill. The main target, so I have a few targets for this trade. Honestly, the main target is up like 19,000. I think it could take about up to 7 days is when I'll start to question the trade. Yeah. USD here, so it's about 3/4 of a Bitcoin. So math wise, it's I don't know $14,000. I don't know how to do math. Unironically enough, this whole industry is math, and I can't do it. But anyways, targets that I'm looking for. Let's see. I'll probably TP some in this region. 16.9 looks good. I'll probably look to TP again. I don't know. Let's say. Really depends on the momentum and if like buyers get aggressive. But these are like the 3 main places. These are the 3 main TPs I want to take. 19 and change, just below 19 maybe. I'll play it by ear. This is the main trade idea though. The RR is incredible if it holds. If not, like I said, we'll look for shorts. But if not, we'll look for shorts, but I really like this long setup. There's a lot of movement that we can make from this. Thank you, Igor, I appreciate that. So, that being said, let's take a look at ETH. And if anybody else wants to see any charts as well, start shilling them. Also, for those who are interested in the copy trade feature, I haven't yet made this account public. I might run it a week without making it public and just seeing how the trade goes, and then I'll make it public and let you guys trade. But I don't want you guys being lazy and just relying on my trades. This is not financial advice. This is not investment advice. This is my trade journal. I'm just doing it publicly for you guys. I did this back in 2019, 20, 21. So no, none of this is advice, but this is how I'm trading. Let's take a look at some charts. CRV. Okay, well, let's start with CRV. For any of you who don't know what happened yesterday, Avi put together a little intricate plan, borrowed some CRV, tried to short it, got liquidated. Turns out he was long. Very interesting story. I ended up being able to make a little bit of money on it. Woke up early, saw the mess, got in at 40 cents. However, on a like larger time frame, it was a really good entry. That's a solid round trip, right? So if you're filling any alts at prices similar to 2020, it's a pretty good spot hold. For trading, we'll have to zoom in a little bit, but for purchasing spot, this is like a really good place to purchase spot to hold on to for a while. Let's zoom in a little bit on what happened. So essentially, Avi borrowed 93 million SOL, CRV, which was about 15% of the supply. Tried to short it, ended up getting squeezed, and a bunch of the players ended up going long. And then you got this mess of PA, a mix of extreme negative funding on perpetuals and some spot trading created this. This is some very interesting PA. I actually closed the full position out at 61 cents. I should have held a little bit of it. I think this thing is going to get squeezed to $1 and change. I don't know what funding is doing now, but if anybody wants to see, we can do this. If anybody doesn't use Coinalyze, it's a really cool tool to look at open interest, CVD. Let's look for Binance. Cool. So how to use it. Indicators. A few things I like to look at. Spot CBD. I like to look at stablecoin open interest. And I like to look at funding rate. Funding's not as extremely negative anymore. What can we tell from this? Spot selling, sellers, whoever was holding all that spot slowly sold off a lot. So this move looks to have been driven by derivatives, no surprise. But a lot of the open interest is bleeding. This looks like shorts, right? So what happened here, price going up, open interest bleeding out. This looked like some people were holding shorts, and it also reflects in the funding, went from extreme negative back to a pretty neutral, minor negative funding. So this isn't really driven from buyers per se, but it's driven from shorts closing, is my analysis on that, right? Yeah, you guys can hear Agar. I have it on in the background, and if you don't know, this is like my favorite template. Shout out Shinagmi for it. If you guys want to bother him on Twitter for it, it's like my favorite template of all time. I leave it on one of my monitors 24/7. So for the trade on CRV, to me it's a no trade. There's no entry here. There's no short. Down here it's unless we revisit 50 cents, right? Like unless we start to get these levels. No, I don't have it. I don't have a trade here. I hope someone does. It's just not my trade. So we'll move on. I know BNB did some good volume today. So we'll take a look at it. Interesting. It's weird, you know, the whole FTX drama fucked up so many charts. Like, what? Here you actually see the wick in which Binance said they were buying FTX, and then it instantly got bled out. And I had some crazy volatility trading on my phone in Dubai for this. But wow. For the trade, no entry here for me. If I don't know, I don't like it. You can't enter at 295 unless you're scalping. This kind of move here is so ugly. Like I really don't like any of that. This type of drives, I always feel like these end up getting filled, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in a week. I have to look behind this volume, but I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. For trade purposes, no trade for me. I'm not in it. I'd like a better entry. If you had asked me 2 days ago, I would have said, looks pretty, but still no trade. In general, BTC, in my opinion, is up. I'm bullish BTC. So I expect most coins to follow. Something that is also happening is you're seeing a lot of dinosaur coins, 2017 coins, ramping. Nano just did like 100. Was it Nano? One of these coins just did like 100% today. I didn't take a look. But I skipped over Ethereum. I want to get right to Ethereum before I look at any other shitcoins. Ethereum has a similar build to BTC. Swept the lows. Incredible entry there. Low time frame. Kind of a similar structure, right? You have that support. I got front ran a little bit. One of my favorite patterns that I love to see, and this is why I filled BTC last night. It looks better on BTC, but you have this like little, you have this kind of like seat, this little roof here. And then you have buyers, right? So like this is resistance, and you get higher lows each time. As it gets tighter and tighter, you get a little breakout. Like 2 months ago in September, I saw a trade like this and I fucking shoved it and had a ball. And then you get this like retest of the breakout, and that's why I'm long. And you can see that in ETH too, right? It's very similar structure. Correlation is pretty tight right now. So I think they're going to trade in unison. I like ETH as a better long-term play. The whole deflationary narrative is kicking in and playing. So I like ETH long-term. The ETH BTC chart also doesn't look too bad. This TWAP selling is hilarious. But my goal over the next 6 to 12 months is to accumulate more ETH and BTC, and then trade perpetuals in between and stack. I think ETH is the play for the next year for sure. Average trade time totally depends on my trade. I've explained to people I have two styles. Well, I'm pretty adaptive, but I have a scalping account, and then I have an account which I just build spot and then actually take the spot and set up really low leverage longs on like 1.2x, 1.3x, up to 2x, depending on the timing and area. So this challenge account, I'll look to be in positions like I really like this trade, for example. So I want to give it, at most 5 to 12 days to play out. If it starts to lag, things are not looking as bullish as I thought, you get this like drooping action, you get some bearish news that comes out, I'll cut it, reevaluate, look for a different trade. But, this stop is more of a mental stop for me. I know that's pretty stupid. You saw the video of Caroline saying the other day, oh, we don't use stops, or I don't like stops. I agree. I don't like stops. There's some extreme fuckery in these markets. That being said, I have so many alerts on all the time on TradingView. I get hundreds of notifications an hour. I'm constantly attached. If you're looking for a hands-off approach, set a stop. If you get stopped out, it's whatever, you can get back in. Stops are pretty smart. Do I like uni long term? No, I don't actually. Not at all. I just saw a post about the regulatory, or how they're like data farming their users and all this jazz. I mean, it's funny. I pull up old charts and like it's at levels of interest. So I mean, for a trade, it's not a bad place to start buying. There's a lot of these coins are in a region where you can deploy small capital and get a return over X amount of time. Like dip back into $2 to $3, it's not a bad idea to buy some. Do I think Uni's gonna stick around? Yeah, probably. It's like literally the only DEX I used all of last year. So you get these kind of, it's gonna probably crawl and crawl and chop and crawl and chop. At some point, it's gonna break out and come retest up here. How long is it gonna take? I don't know. I'm not gonna deploy spot to sit in it. My only spot positions for now are ETH and BTC, especially in a bear market. I've learned otherwise, so I'm gonna keep it that way. And then there will be times where I see news and I'll add and I'll get out. Am I gonna scalp live trade today? We're in a live trade now. Do I see a scalp for it? I'll do another day where I live trade scalp. I think I'll be able to get a good scalp in around 2 p.m. Maybe the minutes has some information that creates some volatility, but right now, like, I'm gonna keep this long. I like this long entry. It doesn't need to be a scalp. I'm not gonna force a scalp. I'll just sit in this happily, Comment on my AGGR setup. I just did. If you missed it, shout out Shinagami. Once again, Shinagami XBT on Twitter. Go bother him for the template because it's his, and I don't want to just share it with everyone. But it's so great. It aggregates all the exchanges on the bottom, volume on the right, and then you have CDD and delta for both spot and perp, which is great for scalping. And I'll save that for another stream where I'll actually look for a setup. I'll sit in here for like 4 hours and I'll wait for a setup to come to me, but I'm not going to force a scalp. Cool. What else? How low below entry do you keep your stops? Like I said, I don't really keep stops. Unless it's a very large position and I'm like over leveraged, but it just totally depends on the setup. People want to know a little bit about Sol, so let's take a look at Sol. Solana, by the way, I think I can export this. If you're trading on Phemex, I can export this data list, and you can see, and you can just upload it to your trading view so you have everything organized. But wow, this chart is fucking hideous, man. This is one of the ugliest charts I've seen in a while. This is what happens when VCs enter the space and just brutalize everything, and then the founder is a piece of shit. Sorry, not sorry at all. Sam is a piece of shit. Anyways, this looks pretty good on the lower time frame, not even gonna lie. Yeah, this is liquidity, right? I'm sure there's so many trapped buyers that are like desperately waiting for a pump to get out of Solana, and not just buyers, but VCs, all the whole nine. A lot of people are trapped in this fucking coin and they want out. Long term, I don't really have a vision for Solana right now, especially with the mess. Will I probably buy some if it goes down to 10? Yes, right? I'm a Ponzi trader. I love Ponzis. That's where all the money is. So right now, it's not an ugly looking chart, man. What I would expect if I was to trade this, I don't know, I'd keep it so tight. I'd keep it tight and what I would expect for targets. It's kind of got a similar setup to the majors right now. You saw this this run here. You didn't get the wicks as deep, but if I was to trade this, I would have a very similar target set up to BTC, right? Maybe TP somewhere around this conglomeration of PA, TP somewhere around this conglomeration of PA, and you could get a good run. I'm not, like I said, I'm not long Sol, but if I was, it's not the worst setup I've seen. Apparently there's an unlock soon. I don't like unlocks, so we'll leave that alone. Let's take a look at FTM. Phantom perp. All right, zooming out, similar structure, right? Kind of got this respected downtrend. Every fucking bounce gets sold into. And then these lows get ran, and you have some action. What I would look for, right? An indicator that I love using is this heuristic. It's kind of like a guppy of MAs and EMAs. What I would look for on something like this is, PA boom. And then I'm looking for, it's pretty much just telling me that the trend is broken. The downtrend is broken. Then I'm looking for a long setup somewhere around here. And then I'd keep this below the lows. It's a really wide stop actually, but if you're, the ratio is good. In these types of plays, position size is much smaller because I'm trying to catch a much larger move. So if I get stopped out, it's a larger percentage of capital. So it's okay to have these wide stops as long as your target is, wider. So I don't enter this position right here. I bid here. I ladder my bids so that my average entry is somewhere in the middle of this. Stop isn't really reflected upon this 10%, 11% loss. Jose misses being a millionaire. Yeah, man, it happens. This is a crazy time to be a trader. If you survive the next fucking 10 months, props on you, and you deserve the next bull market. I don't know how long it could take. People who try to call bottoms get stinky fingers. Pick bottoms, sticky fingers. So don't try to pick the bottom. Just trade it. Yes, Gravy, this will be recorded. If you miss anything, it's on YouTube, so feel free to take a look. Price action on minutes. I'm not expecting anything crazy, like I said, going into holidays. We'll probably get some algos firing off back and forth, some traders fighting, but I don't expect anything nuts. I think the next hike is probably going to be 75 basis points, and if it's 50, we're going to get in some fun. I'll try to scalp one of the FOMC sessions next time there is one. I don't know when it will be because I don't keep tabs, but I keep tabs on DB tier for everything. What else? Anybody want to see some coins? Have any questions? How long have I been trading? Probably like 5 years. Perps, derivatives, Phemex days, back when. This is the action I want to see though. Some good buy volume. GMT, Yeah, let's take a look at GMT. GMT was so fun to trade back when everybody was stepping around. That was the coolest Ponzi ever. GMT, USDT. Wow. The VCs love these tokens, man. They send them to zero. The thing about these tokens too is what a lot of people get impatient about is we'll probably these coins will sit here for months, maybe even years, and then they'll chop, and maybe they'll break out and everybody along, and then they'll come back down, and they'll range, and then they'll do this, and then one day when you're just about done with the coin and you sell it all, you say, fuck this, I'm not waiting for this coin anymore. It's been a year, I've been a holder, I was a part of the community, I waited so long, it's gonna do this. And then it's gonna fall back down and it's gonna go again. And again, and only once you sold it will it do it again. So don't waste your time. There's a better place to leave your money. Wait for the volume to shift. Find deeper liquidity. Unless that's your style, it's just not my style, All these coins will do that kind of stuff. Especially all these shit coins, man. They're gonna go through if you haven't gone through a full cycle, you're gonna go through a full cycle with them. I think the hype of this is kind of over with soccer. It was a cool trade during World Cup. How do you spot any specific conditions when to add a risk? You'll see an entire environment shift. I think we have an echo bubble going into 2023. I think we'll have a few months to get some long action, but you'll know when the environment is risk on. LTC, it's one of those dinosaur coins, and it always happens in a bear market. Randomly, LTC will start to fucking run. The LTC Bitcoin chart was kind of reflecting this. We were seeing strength when BTC was crying, puking, and that was like my main indication. Was you started to see like little legs up, little legs up out of nowhere too. And Don Alt started tweeting it. That's what put it on my radar a few maybe a week ago. On the perp side of things, I saw. You guys all saw that trade setup I had. I deleted it, but it was actually in here. I saw again, pretty cool setup right here. What do I see? I see a low. I see a higher low, retest resistance, come back down. This is the one that did it for me. Higher low. So what do? I start to long it, and then I can invalidate it, below the lows. If this truly is a higher low and the resistance is going to get tested again. I chose my TP around here because, there's some PA up here that unfolded. To get back into it, what do I want to see? I'd love to get back into it down here. I don't think it's going to happen. So if I was holding spot, I'd still hold it. If I was in a long position on perps, I'd still hold it. But I'm not going to enter one here. It's not for me. It's just not an entry. It's not an entry. For the BTC scalp, something else. So like I like cross-referencing it, right, with my guppies. And whoops, I have the drawing tool up. All right, cool. Look, all the damn, bro, why do the drawings keep disappearing? There they are. These are my TPs. And then 19K and change. You can kind of see them here. But something I wanted to show you guys is I like to confluence. To me, trading is like flying a plane, okay? You don't just look at your one indicator in the plane and say, okay, we're going straight. No, you look at your altitude indicator, your attitude indicator, your RPMs, your throttle setting. You're looking across an entire dashboard to, confirm your narrative, hey, we're flying straight and level. Similar with trading. When I trade, I'm looking at all kinds of things. Diversions, I'm looking at MAs, I'm looking at order books, I'm looking at volume traded. And one of my favorite indicators in a trend shift is this heuristic right here. I talked about it earlier. Yeah, cool, it has little red and green buy signal, sell signal. It's not always accurate. I would never trade based off of this signal, but I would use it to confluence my narrative and my thesis. So what am I seeing? Every bounce was sold into on this heuristic on the way down. Finally we get a little reversal, right? You get your little green buy signal. But what's more important is it came down and is retesting that heuristic. It's holding it as what you would call support. That is how I decided to place my bids earlier. It came down, it tested, it held support. So it's confluence to my overall narrative and thesis on this trade. It's not the reason I'm in the trade, but it lets me look at the trade and think, hey, things are still looking solid. The trend is still intact. Dips are getting bid. So it's okay to sit in this trade, right? If we started to break down, this would shift altogether as well. But for now, this is pretty. This is just theoretical for now. I'm obviously going to wait for the environment when we get to this area, or if we get to this area, to decide if this is a trade I'm going to take. But I don't think that the bottom is in, right? I think we're going to range for a very long time. The damage that was made by the last few months is like put Stone Age type damage, put us back pretty far. So it's just the way it is. What if it makes bearish formations over the trend? Wait for the confirmation of the breakdown. Yeah, I'd probably wait for the confirmation of the breakdown. What I look for in a confirmation of a breakdown, right, is say we have structure here. Structure, try to break up, can't break up. Try to break up, can't break up. So break down. It's going to break down initially. Normally what happens is you'll get wicks back up to that structure. Up here, and then a continuation of the down. And then you can add on every move further and further and further, right? And I think it would go to new lows if it did that. I also just added spot holdings for long-term backs. I think this is a good place to add spot holdings. If we go to 10K, we go to 10K and that's it. I'll add more. It's just an amount I can let sit and not touch. Marin's December 20th. I haven't fucking seen what she said, but for some reason she's so accurate and it scares the shit out of me sometimes. So I'll check in with whatever she said. What else? I have to go. I have to go pick up a car that I ordered and I'll share it on my social media. It's finally ready. I haven't had lunch and I'm starving. But before we go, I'd like to conclude the stream by talking about the setup, the trade we're in, right? We're in a trade. I'm in a trade. This is not financial advice, not investment advice. I'm in a trade. If you guys are in my Telegram channel, then you've seen it. And now you have some confluence in why I'm in this trade. If we start to lose this region on this trade, I will then reconsider the long. If we wick down into it, cool, I have more bids. If we bleed into it and sellers are taking over again and all this was perp driven and not real demand, I'll probably try to find a way out. I probably won't let it get to a stop area. I'll scale out. If I see any other trades that I'm interested in taking, I will, throw some charts in my Telegram. My Telegram is free. If you're not in it, find a way to get into it. I'm not going to be posting the link all the time. I'm not trying to shill it. But I do have links like lying around on my Twitter somewhere. And that's about it. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Don't blow up your accounts. Save your capital. There will be an easier time to trade. This is not a time to learn how to trade. Or it is a time to learn how to trade, but it's not a time to risk large amounts of capital. Hence this account. So I'll be taking it easy with this account at first. I'm not going to force trades as they come to me. I'll slowly build it up. But I will also have an account where I degen long leverage trade on live. Shout out Phemex. They're powering these streams for me. And I'm having a blast on their platform. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to shoot me on Twitter. And yes, I did talk about copy trading. It's up here. I'm not making the account public yet, but I will make it at some point. Have a good Thanksgiving, guys. Don't fucking blow up and